ahead. Let's play the music and dance. Maybe it'd be better just doing dancing videos. Right. New microphone. Ever the professional. Let's play the music and dance. There we go. We've got the audio coming through fine. I could even walk away. I could disappear and you'll still hear me because we've got wireless mic on the go. But anyway, that's enough of the technical issues. Bad's got his hot boy. No, I'm back on the normal. It was the microphone that died. Yes, this old thing finally gave up and died altogether. But anyway, I could go and sit in the pan and still talk to you if I wanted. Anyway, but I won't. Good morning. Welcome back to the One Celtics Fans View this morning. Let's get back to what we were talking about. We were talking about Casper Schmeichel. Talking about, that was probably Casper. He was like, internet just went down. Just was bugged his mic up. But anyway, Casper Schmeichel, he's a player that's been fantastic for Celtic since he came. Let's not deny it. He's been brilliant. But this, I don't need to shout because the microphone's right here. Will this microphone last a couple of hours though? When I do the live this afternoon. Casper Schmeichel, he's been told by specialists, as you see in the news bit there, that's John Beaton. Let me just get rid of this. John Beaton is the referee today, but Casper Schmeichel, he has suggested that he's been told by specialists that the only thing that will help his shoulder is for being out for 4 to 6 weeks. Now, he's been out a couple of weeks already. That means that Casper Schmeichel, he has withdrawn from the international. Yes, Gus, I got the super chat, but it's disappeared because it's a new video. I missed what it said. Apologies, mate. But I seen that it came up at the end, but I was too busy trying to sort out the technical side. Anyway, Casper Schmeichel has withdrawn from the international scene for the upcoming games at the end of this month. Now, Celtic do have 2 games to play before that, and it's important, 2 games. I think there's only 4 games now between now and the split. Casper Schmeichel says, I now have to protect my body. I've been told by the specialists that the only thing that will help my shoulder is a break of up to 4 and 6 weeks. There will be matches after this. There will be a new season. I will also have to think about that. I can't go on anymore. If I can't go on anymore, I have to admit that my shoulder is not right. I will not be able to give my best, and I am forced to cancel the international call-up. I hope with all my heart that the boys will now play us to the World Cup. Mark O'Neill give a completely different perspective when it came to Casper Schmeichel, and he said that, you know, Casper Schmeichel has been a fantastic player, etc., etc. He's an important player for the squad, but he's had an issue with a little jag into his shoulder. Anyway, we move on from it because we do have Sinisalo in goals, and the Sinisalo has been getting talked up by his international boss. His international boss, who's glad with the way that he is progressing as a player. Now, there was lots to talk about when it comes to injuries yesterday. Arne Engels was seen back on the pitch, even though that he isn't going to be back to match fitness for another couple of weeks. Looks like he'll be one that'll be back after the international break also. Turning to the game today. A lot of the buses will be leaving in the next couple of hours, heading to Glasgow. It's a bit early, it's only 9:30 in the morning. Some buses will have already left, especially the ones for down south and away up north. Today, Celtic take on Motherwell. When we look at the games that are on today, there will be a watch along today, and there will be a full-time reaction video with all the results coming in Scotland today. Aberdeen take on Falkirk. Will Aberdeen get the new bounce from the new manager who came from St Mirren? Why did he have to leave yesterday? Could they not just play the Zombies tomorrow and be done with it? But anyway, Aberdeen take on Falkirk today. That's going to be a tasty game. Falkirk would have thought they would win that one all day long, but with Aberdeen, with the new manager, they get the bounce back. Celtic entertain a Motherwell this afternoon, and that's the hardest game that we've got. I mean, I know that the Rangers game took care of itself in the league. We've got the draw. You know, we maybe could have played better the first half at Ibrox. We're back at Celtic Park, and this is the big worry. With no Green Brigade there today, and I'm not talking about the Green Brigade situation because I think we've spoke about that enough. They need to make up the decision whether they want to come back into the stadium or not and adhere to the rules that have been placed by every supporter that goes to the games. Motherwell are a different kettle of fish. They're playing fantastic football. Celtic are way behind them on number of goals conceded. Motherwell has always been looked at as the biggest challenge to us, and they will be the biggest challenge to everyone in the top six who are fighting to try and win the league. If Motherwell were to take points off of Celtic today, Hearts would absolutely love it more than anything. But anyway, Hibernian take on Livingston this afternoon, 3 o'clock kickoff, and then Kilmarnock Hearts tonight. Oof, woohoo! That's a tasty game. Hearts away to Kilmarnock at 8 o'clock on a Saturday night. Celtic never get kickoffs like that on a Saturday night, do they? I mean, the place would never allow it. How is it okay? There's a question. How is it okay for thousands and thousands of Hearts fans to have a kickoff at that time of night, who go out and get pissed and, you know, but anyway, we digress. Who cares about them? We will be doing a watch along, and we will do, if I'm not going out tonight, I don't think we're going out tonight. Should we do a watch along for the Kilmarnock Hearts on the other channel? Nah, fuck that shit on a Saturday night. Can't be arsed with that. We need to show Motherwell who we are. Well, Martin O'Neill hasn't been too happy with the players because they do not have their goal scoring boots on. Martin O'Neill says that, you know, we've had to rely on the likes of Pablo Bernardo to come into the team, likewise Rio Hatase, who's had some nice performances. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain obviously isn't as fit as we would like him to be. And then there's the likes of Luke McCowan, who isn't firing on all cylinders. It's been the first free midweek that we've had for, God, going back to November, I think. It was the last time that we had a free week to just get on the training pitch and try and get our shooting boots on. Because one of the biggest issues that we've had, I mean, just look at the Rangers game in the Cup. We had no shots on goal. Ridiculous. I don't think that I've ever seen a Celtic team that has never managed to get one shot on goal for a game. But after winning on penalties at the weekend, geez, well, put a poll up on today's score. Put a poll up on today's score. There we go. We'll do a quick poll. Start a poll. Oh. I don't think it's going to be a high scoring game. They do have a player. There we go. I'm allowed to put 4 scores up, and there we go. Purely off. There's the poll for you this morning. 1-1. Today's score: 1-1, 2-1 to Celtic, 2-2, or 3-2 to Celtic. Let me see what you think of that. 5. Now, we are never scoring 5 goals. Absolutely no chance of Celtic scoring. It's Beaton that's in. I should have put 1-0 up to Motherwell. There's more chance it had been 1-0 to Motherwell. But anyway, getting back to the Motherwell manager, and funnily enough, Martin O'Neill well, the Motherwell manager was asked last week about his intentions in the summer, and the Motherwell manager said, "Look, I've got one thing on my mind." Is my coffee cold? No, he never said that. I did. He was asked about his intentions in the summer, and he said, "I'm focusing on nothing more than Motherwell in the summer," as you would expect any manager to say. But what do we really? I'm not even going to talk about the manager situation because it will happen, and there's only one person that ultimately will make the decision. You know, I think a lot of the fans would love to get Jens in at Motherwell, bring Tawanda with him. It would be a fantastic addition to Celtic, but there's only one man that's going to make the choice, and that will be Dermot Desmond. Will he have a go at Celtic today? He's watched Celtic a couple of times. He will know Celtic's strengths and their weaknesses. This is the one game that I've been worried about for weeks. I mean, I knew that we could get over the line. When you look at the results that we've had over the last couple of weeks, I mean, we've been scraping results, last minute goals. Let me just get the results up. Matches. I mean, even going back to the Stuttgart game, because we'll go back to the Stuttgart game because that's the one that really kicked it off allegedly for Casper Schmeichel. When you look at Livingston 2, the 11th of February, Celtic 2, Livingston 1, a Stuttgart game where Casper Schmeichel says that he got the injury. We got beat 4-1. The majority of the goals came in the first half. When you look at Celtic Hibs, Casper Schmeichel cost us that day as well, I think. Even though we did get a red card, you could put it down to that. But we got beat 2-1. Then we went away to Stuttgart. We changed keeper. Martin O'Neill said it was always within the plan to change the goalkeeper. I'm not too sure. But Celtic managed to get the 1-0 away to Stuttgart. And then when you look at the Rangers game in the league specifically, we had a 2-2 draw at Ibrox. We lost 2 goals early on in that first half. When you look at the Aberdeen game on the Wednesday evening, we scored early in that game. Everyone thought, brilliant, that's Celtic back into firing on all cylinders. We ultimately went on to lose a penalty, Liam Scales penalty, and then Celtic went on to win 2-1 on that game. When it gets to the cup game, we drew a blank, a massive blank, you've got to say. No shots on goal. Does it give you any? I mean, I don't know some of the score lines that are coming on. I think that it's going to be a really tight game today versus Motherwell because it is a must-win game, especially when you look at the other games that are kicking off today. Anyway, enough of that. Let me jump into the comments this morning. The thing is we're going to have a different team. We never know what to expect. At this point, we just need to keep on winning our games and let nature take its course. At this point, I would take Kenny and Palmer back, looking at how bad our bench is. That's an interesting one. I don't think it's just about... The big worry for Martin O'Neill is that, I mean, talking earlier on about Casper Schmeichel and Martin O'Neill kind of covering up the story, you know, saying that Casper, it was all due to an injection in his shoulder and he had a bit of pain from that, which is just Martin O'Neill just waffling, if you ask me. Martin O'Neill's not happy with the fact that we're not scoring goals. We don't even look like we're scoring goals. Brendan Rodgers spoke about the final third. The whole time that he was at Celtic, Brendan Rodgers spoke about the issues that we have in the final third. And it seems to be getting worse as the season's going on. There's nobody that, apart from, you could say, Benji Negrin. If you take away Benji Negrin's goals at Celtic this year, we're absolutely up a creek without a paddle. But I would definitely take Johnny Kenny. But Johnny Kenny's going to come good next season. We'll wait on that. Casper is hiding an injury, scared of not getting to the White Squirrel. Well, he's not going to be playing at the World Cup qualifiers that are coming up in a couple of weeks. He's decided to come out of the squad. Stephen Johnson's done a super chat. Hope everyone has a fantastic day, says Stephen Johnston. Thank you for that, Stephen. I don't think so. I think Hatate will score 2 today, Baz. Do you think Hatate will score 2? Does Hatate have 2 scores in him? 2 goals in him going into this game? I'm not confident that anybody. We're not scoring a lot of goals. Motherwell are not conceding a lot of goals. This is the thing that you need to look at Motherwell's. I mean, you look at the form guide of Motherwell. They lost to Dundee. That was a shock result as far as Motherwell are concerned. I would say that was. I mean, there's your games, right? Look at Motherwell, going all the way back to Aberdeen. They beat Aberdeen twice. They beat Aberdeen at home and then they beat Aberdeen away. They absolutely smashed St Mirren 5-0. And then they go and get Dundee United at home. They beat Dundee United 2-0. They get beat by Dundee in the last game 2-1. Losing 2 games, whilst isn't bad when you consider where they are in the table. I mean, when you look at our last, they're not conceding goals. And that's my worry going into this game today. Although they conceded 2 the last game, that's the first 2 goals they've conceded in 5. Whilst Celtic, on the other hand, we conceded 2 against Hibernian, we conceded nothing against Stuttgart, we conceded 2 against Rangers, we conceded 1 against Aberdeen, we never conceded any against Rangers in the Cup, but we also didn't score any. To me, this is a 1-0 game written all over it. Honestly. What was that? Watch the Rangers radio YouTube. Someone ran in to thank the Union Bears for clearing the Celtic fans off the pitch. Oh God, I don't know why you even watch their stuff. Honest to God. Regardless how this season ends, I just want to over with, bring on 26, 27 season. I think that looking to next season, Mark, I think that we are in for one hell of a summer. And if you think that last summer was bad in any way, this summer is going to be bonkers when it comes to Celtic. There's going to be negative headlines, there's going to be positive headlines. We're going to be linked with or out. I reckon, I'm going to make a prediction just now. And over the course of the summer, I predict that Celtic will be linked with 25 players. At least. Say 20 players. 20 players. Celtic will be linked with 20 players over the summer. Got to remember, there's about 15 players that could be leaving Celtic in this summer. You look at all the loan players that are currently at the club. Got players that are coming at the end of contracts and stuff. James Forrest, Casper Schmeichel leaving. We're going to have to bring in another keeper if we're not going to promote a younger keeper into the squad. So next season, let's just get this season over the way, because there is not going to be a quiet summer when it comes to Celtic news. That is for sure. Celtic will take 3 off the Steelmen today. Typhoon McFlustery is drinking already. I think you might have missed the bit where they've only conceded 2 goals in their last 5 games, 4 goals. Sorry, 4 goals in 5 games. Anyway, they beat Aberdeen. They got beat by Aberdeen in the Scottish Cup, which was a shock result. Obviously, beating Aberdeen at home and then getting beat to Aberdeen in the Scottish Cup. St Mirren, they gubbed St Mirren 5-0. Dundee United, they beat Dundee United 2-0 and then 2-1. Anyway, Jesus, my head's minced this morning. That's what I had. Right, I'm not staying on much longer this morning because we will be back an hour and a half before the game today. A lot of people. Who are we playing today? Barcelona. Thank goodness we're not playing Barcelona because we'll get beat about 7-0. It's more the point that we are not scoring. I mean, even Martin O'Neill's concerned about the fact that we're not scoring goals. Callum McGregor's not going to be back for, well, who knows. But Martin O'Neill says that it's a calf strain. It was very interesting that Martin O'Neill says there's a lot of rumours going about Callum and saying that it was the same as last year, where it was his Achilles. They're saying this year it's just a calf strain. Maybe they've caught it early. So you did clarify that. Hopefully he's done pretty well. He's done very well, says Martin O'Neill yesterday in his recovery. Hopefully he'll maybe be ready for next week. Maybe they've caught it early enough for Callum, and we'll wait and see. I mean, who plays in the midfield today? That's another thing. Scott says, agree, Baz, we have 18 leaving in the summer. Yeah, it's going to be the summer of all summers. This is a bit. Do you know what? I mean, talking about this summer, this is a bigger summer than the summer that brought in Ange Postecoglou. And although we lost the 10 under Neil Lennon, and that was always going to be a season where there was going to be a big turnover of players. This season is just as significant. You know, with a new manager coming in, we have to get the manager appointment right. The turnaround in the squad, we have to get a manager in early. We have to make sure that we start buying players early, because if Celtic go into pre-season, and this is giving me the fear already, never mind this game today, just thinking ahead, when you think about the way that Celtic have done it in the past, we get players in last minute, way far too late, and how many managers said, Ange Postecoglou said it, you've got to get players in early, they need a month to settle in. Because in the first 2 or 3 weeks, they're staying in a hotel. They need to get their family over. They need to rent a house, apartment, whatever. They need to get settled in. They need to get a car. They need to do this and the next thing and this, and that takes time. They're not 100% focused when they're on the training pitch. They're going through the paces. They're doing their job. But at the same time, they're thinking, fuck, I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to do that. You know, Celtic do manage to help them out. Ange Postecoglou said, the ideal scenario is you bring a player in the winter window, you give him that settling in period, the 6 months, and then you see the benefit of him the next season. That happened with Nico Kuhn. Celtic brought him in. They obviously knew the teeth ongoings that they had. They knew that he had lost a bit of weight. But then you've seen the benefit of Nico Kuhn getting a full pre-season and then had a cracking season for Celtic. If we bring in 6, 7, 8 players towards the end of pre-season, we're up against it for the start of next season. Do you know, never mind saying we want this season over and done with. Fuck. We're going to have the same old moans. This isn't a rebuild, it's a full new development, says Scott. It is. It is that, mate. Fob, I have no idea what you're talking about. Oh, we haven't scouted them for 2 years. Well, that was Brendan Rodgers. Brendan Rodgers wanted him, so Scotland to beat Ireland at rugby. Well, who cares? The Celtic game will be on at that point. Robbie Keane says he's happy where he is managerial wise at the moment. At the moment, I don't really want Robbie Keane, to be honest. If I'm perfectly honest, I don't really want Robbie Keane as Celtic manager. I mean, I know that he's done well, but I just don't. I'm not too sure. And will he look at? We have to get the next manager appointment right. But the look at, you have to look at the next manager as a 3 to 4 to 5 year. I mean, do you go out and give him a 5 year contract and he turns out rubbish, or do you go with someone like Robbie Keane, give him a 3 year contract, but it's really a 3, 4, 5 year rebuild that we're looking at to get it right throughout the club. I mean, first team, you're just talking about instant. But ideally, you want to be bringing in players. The B team's a complete nonsense right now. We need to be spending money in with that. But anyway, uh, we don't go with stats bats. Come on, look forward to the double, and then it'll be a good summer. I'm looking forward to the double. I'm not looking forward to the summer. I'll be honest. We'll get a buzz when we get the new manager in, and then it'll be the same old Celtic. And if we still have the same hierarchy at the club, making the same mistakes, dragging their heels with contract negotiations and not getting players in good time. Martin O'Neill wasn't overly enthusiastic about the way that the transfer window went. I think there was a lot of players that Martin O'Neill wanted that he didn't get, and we went down the list. If we're not getting our first choice, you have to ask, the question has to be asked, if we are not getting our first choice players, if we are not convincing them, what is the issue? Who is the issue? Who's in the contract negotiations, and why are they not convincing them to come to Celtic? It can't all be about, if it's just about wages, I can understand. If it's the fact they don't want to play in Scottish football, do you not sound the player out first before you even target him as your number one? Do you know? There's ways of doing it in football. We all know that it can happen. But anyway, time for Bernardo to step up today. Remember, there's a second half of the season. Magnus, away for a walk. Catch you guys later. Thank you for that, Magnus. I'll catch you later. And something that says, I hope Scotland win the Six Nations. I have no idea about rugby. And I'm sure the Celtic game's on at the exact same time. And a super chat from Rebel Selks. Thank you for that, mate. Right. I think we've covered everything this morning. We've had an absolute nightmare microphone-wise. One microphone decided to give up the ghost. Rest in peace. But anyway, it's always something better around the corner. Let me just jump through some of these. Until the board changes, we could bring in Pep and still have a shit team. James Smith says, whatever we need to do in the summer, we need to get it right, but I have no confidence in these people on the board. The way Celtic is run right now is the very different definition of insanity. And yes, you keep doing the same thing over and over again, and you keep getting the same results. It's crazy. It's bonkers, isn't it? But the board don't see it like that. The board see it as they're doing everything they can to make the team better. Will Ox get a new contract in the summer? Yes. Yes, because we don't have a lot of options. But I think that you'll see more of Paulo Bernardo next season. Next season will be the season that you see Paulo Bernardo step up to the mark. Wait and see. Total rebuild and still win trophies is very hard, says John. Not really. We got to 9 in a row, changing things about a good few times. Not complete rebuilds. We brought in Ange Postecoglou and managed to keep on winning. Anyway, let me just hear this. Coming to Celtic. It can't all be about, do you know, if it's just about wages. There we go. Right, anyway, that is me done and dusted for this. I've just switched that off. Why did I do that? I'll see you in about an hour and a half before the game. Madness.